The first indication that something was wrong with the starship Astrolume wasn't the alarms, nor the sudden shudder that rippled down its metallic spine. It was the light. Astrolume, a vessel built by an alien race known as the Illunari, was not powered by engines or fuel or any known reactor. It lived on light, a shimmering energy emitted by the Illunari themselves. Each member of the species carried a core of bioluminescent essence within their chest, a pulsing source of brilliance that linked them all, ship and crew alike. But on the fringe of Earth's solar system, drifting through a corridor of darkened space where even starlight hesitated to pass, the lights inside the ship began to dim. And with that dimming came the fear. For the Illunari, fading light meant fading life. At the center of Astrolume stood Kaelis, the last born of his kind. His body, tall, crystalline, and translucent as water, glowed faintly blue from the brilliance within. But now that inner glow flickered like a candle in the wind, growing weaker by the hour. Kaelis steadied himself against a luminescent pillar as the ship groaned. "Not yet," he whispered in the Illunari tongue, a language woven of light rather than sound. "I am not ready," the ship answered with a low hum, almost sympathetic. Their energies were intertwined, his fading was its fading. Kaelis had departed his dying homeworld on a centuries-long mission to find help, any help, but somewhere between the warp lanes, he had stumbled into a gravitational tear that ripped apart part of his essence. He had survived, but only barely. Now the mission, his life, and the last hope of the Illunari were fading with each heartbeat. And then he saw Earth, a blue world wrapped in clouds, radiant with sunlight, a resource he desperately needed. And yet, more than sunlight, he sensed thoughts, dreams, millions of minds sparking bright like fireflies. Life. Intelligent life. He adjusted the course and began his descent, hoping the planet's inhabitants might be more merciful than the void. Amara Holt, astrophysicist at the remote Clearpoint Observatory, never expected her quiet evening to shatter. She had spent years tracking unusual cosmic signals, radio pulses, gravitational anomalies, and the occasional meteor shower. Tonight was routine, the kind of monotony she secretly enjoyed. Warm tea, soft classical music, the gentle hum of instruments. Then her computer screens lit up with readings she had never seen before. A spike in radiation, a descending object, a streak of blue falling from the stars. The ground trembled a few heartbeats later. Amara ran outside, the cold night wind whipping her hair, and saw a plume of glowing dust spiraling upward from the far side of the ridge. She grabbed her equipment bag. "If I'm first to the site," she muttered to herself, "I might actually get published for something other than simulations." She sprinted into the forest, branches snapping underfoot until she reached the clearing. What she saw froze her breath in her chest. A ship, if it could even be called that, rested at the center of a crater. It wasn't metal, nor plastic, nor anything she recognized. It looked like a shard of crystal carved from starlight itself, fractured but still glowing. And next to it stood a figure, tall, luminous, fragile-looking, and fading. Amara raised both hands. I come in peace?" she attempted, wincing at her own uncertainty. The being turned. Light flickered beneath his skin, illuminating delicate layers like stained glass. His eyes, a shifting gradient of indigo and pearl, studied her with curiosity and exhaustion. "I mean no harm," he said at last, speaking words that formed from vibrations rather than lips. "My name is Kaelis." Amara gasped. "You speak English?" He shook his head faintly. "I speak light. Your mind translates." "Oh," she said, because that was all her brain managed. Kaelis staggered and nearly fell. Instinctively, Amara rushed forward, catching his arm. Her hand tingled. For a moment, his fading blue light surged brighter under her touch. Kaelis inhaled sharply, eyes widening. "You amplify me," Amara blinked. "I what?" "You carry warmth, feeling, something I have not sensed for a long time." He looked at her as if she were both mystery and salvation. But his glow dimmed again faster than before. He was dying, and she was the only one who could help him. Amara's cabin wasn't built for extraterrestrial guests, but it served better than the freezing forest. She guided Kaelis inside, helping him settle on her couch, The lights dimmed automatically, and the gentle ambience seemed to comfort him. He rested a trembling hand against his chest, where a core of shimmering energy flickered. "My light is breaking," he whispered. "Without it, I fade." "Like life force?" Amara asked, kneeling beside him. "Yes, but more. My light is memory, emotion. My people are not bound by flesh. Our essence is illumination. When it dims, our existence unravels." Amara felt a pang of sympathy. He wasn't just hurt, he was unraveling. "Is there anything I can do?" she asked. He hesitated. "When you touched me, the fading slowed. For a moment it reversed. That just means you need energy," she said. "Heat, light, electricity? No, what you gave was not physical." He looked directly into her eyes. "You gave connection." Amara opened her mouth, then closed it. "Well," she managed, cheeks warming, I'm good at talking to people?" Kaelis smiled, weak but genuine. "Not talking, feeling." Over the next several days, Amara learned what it meant to care for a being of light. Kaelis did not eat. He did not sleep in the human sense. Instead, he sat near the windows during the day, absorbing sunlight to slow his fading, but the damage from the gravitational tear ran deeper than drained light. It had fractured his core. Solar energy could not fix him, but human presence seemed to help. Whenever he grew weak, Amara would take his hand. Light pulsed gently beneath his crystalline skin, his glow stabilizing. It wasn't romantic, at least not at first. It felt more like grounding someone in grief, offering your steady heartbeat when theirs faltered. But something about Kaelis changed the atmosphere around him. She felt calm when he was near, not because of any power, but because of his sincerity. He spoke of a world called Luminara, where entire forests glowed with sentient life. Rivers shimmered like liquid stars. His people lived in harmony with every living thing, until their sun began its slow collapse. "We searched the galaxy," Kaelis told her one evening. "We found worlds with life, but none with compassion. Many civilizations had strength, technology, power, but they lacked what mattered." Amara tilted her head. "Which is connection." His eyes gleamed softly. "Most species build walls around their hearts. Yours does not," she huffed. "You haven't met enough humans." He chuckled, the sound like chimes. "Perhaps. But I met you." Her cheeks warmed again. She changed the subject. "If you return to your world, can your people be saved?" "If I return with knowledge of your species, your emotional resonance, your collective empathy, yes. My people can integrate new forms of connection into our core. Our light has always evolved through experience." Amara frowned. "But your ship is damaged. How will you get back?" Kaelis looked down. "I do not know. What about repairing it?" she asked. "I have tools, access to materials. I can guide you," he said slowly. "If you are willing." She smiled. "Of course," but something in his expression made her pause. "What is it?" she asked. Kaelis hesitated. "When an Illunari shares sustained connection with another being, it becomes permanent. Our lights entwine. It is a bond of essence." Amara swallowed. "Meaning?" "It means if I leave," he said softly, "I will carry a part of you with me. Forever." She looked at him, at the fading glow he fought so valiantly to preserve. "And if you stay?" she whispered. "Then I will survive, but my people will not." It was the first time she saw fear in his eyes. Not fear of dying, but fear of choosing the wrong life. Repairing Astroluma was both easier and harder than Amara expected. Kaelis guided her through each step, his knowledge precise but limited by weakening energy. She learned how Illunari ships used crystalline conduits and resonance chambers that responded to emotion as much as physics. She learned Kaelis was far older than he appeared. Illunari did not age physically, but their light matured with experience. And she learned he was afraid of losing her. She felt it in the way his glow brightened whenever she entered the room, in the way his eyes lingered on her hands when she repaired a conduit, in the gentle gratitude that filled the air between them like sun-warmed fog. The bond was forming. She felt it too, but time was running out. Astrolume required one final component, a stable burst of energy to reseal Kaelis' fractured core. The ship could generate the burst, but it required a living Illunari's presence within the core chamber. Kaelis would have to step inside and let the ship fuse him with its energy. If the process succeeded, he would be restored. If it failed, he would disintegrate. When Amara heard the risks, her throat tightened. "There has to be another way." "There isn't," Kaelis said quietly. "But your presence strengthens me. With you near the chamber, the chances improve." She looked away. "So if I stay close, you might live, and if I don't, I will fade," he finished gently. She clenched her jaw. "Then I'm staying." His light warmed. "I knew you would." The day of the fusion was clear. Frost sparkled across the forest as Kaelis led her inside Astrolume's restored hull. The ship hummed weakly, awaiting completion. Inside the core chamber, walls pulsed with fragmented light. Kaelis stood before the center pedestal, his glow dangerously faint. "Before this begins," he said softly, "I must tell you something." Amara stepped closer. "Kaelis, when I survived the tear in space, I believed I had lost everything. My world, my people, my purpose." He lifted a trembling hand to her cheek, not quite touching, but close enough that warmth spread across her skin. "Then I found you." Her breath hitched. "My light has never felt fuller than when you are near," he continued. "But if I survive this, I must return home. My people cannot fade because I choose my own heart." A tear slid down her cheek before she could stop it. "I know." He brushed it away with a glowing fingertip. "Your emotion strengthens me. Even now." She took his hand and squeezed. "Then let's bring you back." The chamber filled with rising luminescence as the ship activated. Kaelis stepped onto the pedestal, and light wrapped around him like a cocoon. His body lifted, suspended. The ship required emotional resonance to stabilize the process, so Amara stood as close as she could, resting her hand against the barrier of light surrounding him. His glow flickered violently. "Kaelis!" she shouted. "Stay with me." His voice echoed inside her mind. "I am here, Amara." But the light wavered. The fracture in his core flared like a supernova about to collapse. She pressed both hands to the barrier, tears streaming. "You're not alone. You're not alone. I'm right here. Don't fade." Her voice carried more than sound, her fear, her hope, her connection. It surged outward, resonating with the Illunari energy. The chamber brightened. Kaelis's light steadied. And then, with a brilliant pulse, it blossomed. The pedestal released him gently. He floated down, landing on steady feet. His entire body radiated vibrant luminescence, gold, blue, and white swirling like galaxies under translucent skin. He was restored. He stepped toward the barrier, which dissolved at his approach, and caught Amara in his arms, light spilling around her like warm starlight. "You saved me," he whispered. She shook her head. "You saved yourself. Not without you." They held each other until the chamber dimmed back to stillness. Kaelis could not stay. They both knew it, but knowing didn't make the moment any easier. Astrolume hovered just above the clearing, repaired and radiant. Kaelis stood before Amara, his light steady and strong. "Our bond," he said softly, placing his hand over his heart, "will remain. Across galaxies, across centuries." She managed a trembling smile. "I'll look for your light in the night sky, and I will carry yours inside me," he said. He touched his forehead to hers, a gesture of Illunari reverence. Warmth flooded her. Connection, gratitude, affection. Then he stepped back. The ship's ramp closed. Astrolume rose higher, its crystalline hull glowing like dawn breaking through midnight. Amara watched until it became a star among stars, and then disappeared into the darkness. But she didn't feel loss. She felt light. Inside her chest, a faint warmth pulsed, an echo of Kaelis's essence, left behind not to burden her but to connect them, a bond across worlds, a bond that would never fade. And somewhere in the cosmos, Kaelis carried her light as well, guiding his people toward hope, toward life.